Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Coach Sherry, and today is day number 71 of 90 Days Going Live Challenge. And if you are new to this channel, welcome in, welcome in. I hope that you will find something in this live that you can take away and implement right away. And if you are curious, I have a whole selection of other videos, pre recorded lives, as well as shorts that you can check out. I do post on my community wall, and I always try to either share other content creators' videos or post inspirational quotes and motivational quotes. But this channel is about workforce development, entrepreneurship, career readiness, real life, real issues, and real talk. In addition to being live, this is part of my Real Talk with Coach Sherry podcast. So if you are interested in seeing some previous podcasts, I do have a playlist where they are all stored, as well as I have a lives playlist that you can check out some previous lives, some interviews that I've done, and I'm just excited about this channel as a whole. One of the purposes of the 90-day going live every day challenge is to enter into my sweet 16 years of having this YouTube channel. Now, this YouTube channel was not always a content creating channel. I first started watching videos of different content creators and just really enjoying their content, learning from them, and just getting some great tips and ideas. But also, I started to realize that a lot of the things that I would see, I could do too. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a channel, or I'm going to start putting up content. And that's what I did about a little bit over 4 years ago. But I have had this channel. It's always been Coach Sherry. I've been Coach Sherry since the 1900s, since the early 1990s when I first started coaching basketball, and it evolved as I continued to develop businesses into marketing coaching for small to mid-sized businesses and nonprofit organizations, and then it evolved into life and career coaching. And this is something that I do on a daily basis, amongst other things, being an entrepreneur, working in workforce development, and just changing lives and making that impact. This is my legacy. The information, again, that I share here is for my future's future. So I share a lot of things, and I take you along with me when I go to interesting places, because I know that there are people that watch that are from all over the world, and maybe or maybe not, they won't have the opportunity or will to go to the places that I take you. And if they aren't able to, then vicariously through me, seeing my point of view, they are able to come along too. And that's another thing that I love about YouTube. You have so much insight from other people's point of view when they travel the world, when they do things that you may not have the courage to try, or the capabilities of trying for many reasons. And you can just sit back and watch them. And that is, to me, that's just as good, just to hear their side of it and to experience it through their eyes. So, as you can see, the title of this session is Self Care Tips for Caregivers. And here lately, I've been encountering so many different caregivers for their parents, for their siblings, as well as for their children. And a lot of times, you pour yourself into the care that you're giving, and you forget to care for yourself. And if you are that person that is solely responsible for the people or person that you are caring for, you really need to care for yourself too, because if you go down, man down, then what may happen? And that's the thing that you have to consider. So if you think that your self-care is selfish, then you have to understand, no, it's not. It's only selfish if you don't care for yourself and you go down and are unable to provide that care. I know when I was my mother's primary caregiver, that was one of my fears was what would happen if something happened to me? I remember even, driving to the store real quick or taking my kids somewhere real quick. Anything that I was thinking was real quick could be a real quick end. Nothing is guaranteed. Every day you wake up is a blessing, but also every day you wake up, it can be a challenge. Anything can happen at any given moment. And when I would not be with her, it would, I would think like I have to get back safely because there was no one that could care for her the way that I was caring for her. Literally, we had no help with them in the medical field to come into the home. It was a 24-hour care, and I know many of you are experiencing that as well. And some of you are in that sandwich generation, and I've talked about this just recently, as a matter of fact, being in between caring for a loved one, caring for two sets of loved ones, be it your parents and your children and spouse, and then you're in the middle, or for your loved one and your career and you're in the middle. And that middle piece, that's the meat of it all. And you have to take care of that. So I'm just here today to give you some tips on how you can better take care of yourself. And so I hope you have your pen and paper ready so that you can take some of these nuggets down. And also, if you know someone who's a caregiver, please be sure to share this. And I see Tasty Creations with Tara is in the building. Hello. How are you doing in India? So let's see. You're about, is it 8 hours ahead of us? Because I'm in the US on the East Coast. Here for me, the time is 9:51. What is the time there for you? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. And caregiving happens all over the world. It's not just in your backyard, it's not just in your neck of the woods, it's not just in your city and state or country, it's everywhere. And the thing about being a caregiver, you can at times feel like you're all alone. Like, oh my goodness, there's no one else that can understand me. There's no one else in the world going through what I'm going through. And there absolutely is. Thank you so much, Tasty Creations. Thank you. I see Black Guns and Gardens is in the building. Hello to you. Great to see you. I'm so happy to see you here. How are things going your way? All right, it's 7:25 a.m. Yes, I knew it. I was like, you know what? When I sometimes catch your lives, Tasty Creations, it's early in the morning for me. It's about 7:25 and it's probably, in the evening at night for you. And so that's interesting. Different time zones always is, I find them to be very interesting for sure. Hey, Slasher Chick, how are you? Good to see you. There's a new, and you probably already are familiar with this. It's a new technology. Hold on. It's called Big Vu, and that's BIGV like Victor, U like under. And it's a really interesting AI tool. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I was wondering, and I said, "Huh, I wonder if Slasher Chick knows about this." I would go into more detail, but I would just really mess it up, and it would just, I don't know, take this live into a whole nother place. Yes, different times for sure. Hmm. Oh yeah, slasher chick. Okay, I can try and tell you a little bit. So say if you write your content or it's in your tablet or your phone or something like that is typed in, and instead of looking down at your content, it actually scrolls it up almost like a prompter, a monitor, prompter that you would read from. So you're not looking down, your gaze is just straight up at the camera, and I think that is just the cat's meow. That is definitely a game changer. So I see everyone is in the building. I appreciate you that are being here live. Hello. I know sometimes it can be challenging to get to your device to say anything in the chat, but I appreciate you all for being here. For those of you that are watching this on the replay, please be sure to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what city, state, country you are tuning in from. I'm finding myself attracting many people from different countries, and I love it. You know, the world is what they say, the world is flat. And that's actually a really thick book that I read decades ago, you know, talking about how technology is making the world flat, where, you know, you can get from point A to point B so quickly. And so I really know that YouTube and other social media platforms is definitely making all of that possible. Okay. Thank you so much for being on this live stream. I appreciate that. Yes, and you're exercising. I am doing well, Black Guns and Gardens. Today is, of course, Monday, and it was a great day. I woke up very motivated and had a great weekend. So, a lot of times, especially if I get enough rest and have at least one or two wonderful things happen on the weekend, it propels me into the week. And so much happened today until I felt like it was Wednesday, but it's clearly Monday. But it's a lot. It's a lot going on, and I'm really happy. And how are things your way? Everything is good? You said all is well. It's hot. Yeah. You know, we've had hot temperatures, but the weather has been so beautiful, really pleasant. Yeah, for sure. Mhm. Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Tasty Creations. You know, we don't know what time it is for most people. For you, it's in the eve. Well, it's early in the morning, but here it's at night for sure. Yes. Thank you all for being here. So let's jump right into it. Some self care tips for caregivers. So, you want to definitely prioritize your health and get regular medical checkups and screenings. You know, make that time for your doctor's appointments. As a caregiver, you're always scheduling appointments for the person that you're caring for. You're always taking them to their appointments here and there, rushing back and forth, but not taking the time out to do it for yourself. You have to make that time, because again, if you are man down, who is going to take care of your loved ones? And then you want to eat a nutritious diet with plenty of fruits, vegetables, and lean proteins. Another thing about caregiving, and I've noticed with caregivers, is they become emotional eaters. You know, it's one of those, let me just grab anything, and they'll grab chips, they'll grab chocolate, things that are not going to support their bodies and fuel their bodies with things that are going to give them the energy that they need, and things that will actually break down their bodies. I was talking with someone whose mother recently passed, and I told her, I said, make sure you are eating nutritious foods. And she said, you know what, you're right. Just think about it. After a funeral service and you have the repast, and people bring all types of desserts and things that are comfort foods but aren't necessarily good for you. And you find yourself just going into the kitchen and picking at it because it's right there and it's easy. But even at that, be mindful of what you're putting in. Those types of food may make you sluggish, but you're also consuming them as you are caring for your loved one, and you don't have the capacity to be sluggish. You have to have better high energy. So be mindful of the things that you are putting into your body, the nutrition. And if you live anywhere, if you live anywhere near Black Guns and Gardens, maybe he can give you some amazing vegetables that he grows in his garden that can really help your diet and give you that nutrition that you need without all those pesticides and things of that nature. You also want to stay hydrated and drink enough water. They say you should drink half your body weight in ounces of water per day. So to make it the math easy, if you weigh, say, 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water a day. And you might think, well, oh my goodness, Coach Sherry, that is a lot. I mean, you don't have to sit there in one setting and drink it, but have your devices, your particular types of cups that you love, your mugs or whatever the case may be, that's 8 ounces or more. And refill it throughout the day, but make sure you're getting the amount of ounces that you need. And I say, don't get a gallon jug or anything like that where you could just sit. And obviously, if you drink that much water, you're going to be up and down anyway to use the restroom. However, you want to be able to get up and down to refill it too. So you don't want to just have it and then, you look. Some people do. They buy just a gallon and they just drink on that all day. But I'm like, you know what? Change it up a little bit during the day. You may want at midday, you may want to add some fruits to your water, some sliced oranges, sliced lemons, cucumbers. Another good mix is putting some mint leaves in there, some cucumbers and lemons is so refreshing, especially this time of year with it being so warm. Black Guns and Roses was just mentioning how hot it is where he is. It's hot here too. But when you have something refreshing, it definitely can help make things more pleasant. Sometimes people may even put the 0 calorie, sugar free sweeteners into their waters to give them that variety, because water can be basic and plain, and especially if you're used to drinking soft drinks, sodas and juices that have so much extra sugar, but you want to replace that and drink just water, but you get bored with the water, so you can do different things to it, and that's going to help keep your energy up. It's going to not deplete your strength. It'll help keep you strong, because as you're taking care of yourself, the better you take care of yourself, the better you will be able to take care of your loved ones. And then you want to exercise regularly. You definitely want to go for walks when you can. And listen, we were in the country and I would take my mother. She had a wheelchair. Her wheelchair was phenomenal. It looked like, I mean, it first of all, it cost as much as a small car. So let's get that together. But had a remote control. So I didn't even have to be near her. I can control her wheelchair with the remote control, but it was like high. The back was really high. I can raise the whole seat up. She had an amazing cushion that was really good for her back and her bottom. It had a thing on the back to hold her ventilator because she was on a ventilator. And listen, I took her outside. I mean, really outside. If you could see where I used to take her in the country, you would be like, "There's no way, there's no way you had her outside and all of that." And I would walk with her outside every day. I tried when it was nice out. I tried to get her, to have some fresh air every single day. I made sure her feet touched the ground, even though for the last year and some months of her life she couldn't walk. I still made sure that her feet always touched the ground and that she got dressed every day. But in the meantime, I knew I had to take care of myself and I needed fresh air too. Just like she needed it, I needed it. And if I'm going to walk and I can't really leave her side, I would take her with me. But then there was those mornings when I would take my children to school and I would go to the YMCA real quick and work out on the elliptical for about 20 minutes. Anything to help keep your body regulated and just, do something that's going to give you that spark of energy as well. And also try and sleep as much as possible. 7 to 9 hours is ideal, but I understand as a caregiver, you may not be able to get that kind of sleep, depending on what the challenge is. Because I know for me, throughout the night, I would have to get up sometimes to go to my mother because her ventilator may go off, and I would have to regulate it. And I could hear it. And even after she passed, it took me so long to realize that I could sleep through the night without hearing her machine going off. But you want to try and get as much sleep as possible. And even if you don't have that medical support where nurses are not willing to come in because they may be afraid, and believe me when I tell you that some nurses are afraid of certain things inside the home. For us, it was the ventilator. It was unbelievable. I mean, we were like, we'll pay you $100 an hour. I said, I will send the respiratory therapist that trained me on the ventilator to your facility, because she had the insurance that would pay for it, but they just wouldn't do it. And so And so it was challenging, for us because they no one would they didn't feel comfortable with a patient in the home on a ventilator, without with any capabilities of ever getting off of it. And I even said, I will sign a waiver where you will not be responsible for anything, because at some point, as a caregiver, if you're not able to get that 7 to 9 hour stretch of sleep at night, you want to take short naps during the day. But again, if you are that constant contact with the person that you are caring for, it's hard if no one's coming in to relieve you. And I see Mr. Fulton is in the building. Congratulations on winning first place and getting the gold medals. Congratulations to you for sure. All right. And you want to take breaks and accepting help from others. Don't try to do everything alone. And that, again, that goes into when family and friends want to stop by, they don't know what they can do. What I used to tell them is, you know what? Just sit with her. Just sit with her and talk. Even though my mother wasn't able to communicate as well as before, she had a speak assist machine, she can still hear. When you have certain challenges, like say for instance ALS, which is what my mother had, Lou Gehrig's disease, she may not have been able to communicate, but she absolutely could hear and understand every single thing you said. And that's one of the main reasons why I never wanted her to go into any nursing facility, because the nursing facilities that would take a patient full time on a ventilator, first of all, the closest one was like 5 hours away. And there's no way that, any of us would have been able to be there on a daily basis unless we lived right there. And, you know, I just felt like she deserved the best care, and that was going to be at home. Even though I wasn't medically trained, I learned how to care for her. And so, the interesting thing is, people don't realize when you can't speak for yourself, but you can understand. Sometimes people will treat you not good. They will not give you the best treatment. And that's another reason why I knew we had to care for her. That was just it. No, no ifs, ands, and buts, because I didn't want people to misunderstand her illness and treat her as if she didn't have a thought, because she absolutely did. So, one of her dear friends, who was the mother of my college roommate, her and her family would come to visit, and all the way from New Jersey they would drive. It was 7 hours, and I would just say, just please sit with her. And it may have freed me up to do something, or again to take that nap. So definitely, if you know anyone that's caring for someone, even if they say they don't need anything, stop by and still be there for them, and just say, I just want to sit with your loved one, or I just want to sit with you. Maybe they need to vent, maybe they need to cry, maybe, they just need to hear what's going on the outside world. You just never know. And let's see. You had Krispy Kreme? Well, listen, Black Guns and Gardens, we all have our backsliding days. So I don't know if y'all knew this, but last Friday, I believe, was National Donut Day. And so it's okay. I understand. But let me tell you, you like Krispy Kreme, but there's this donut shop here in Charlotte. It's called OMG Donuts. And when I tell you, when you bite into one of their donuts, that's the only thing you can think to say is OMG. So serious. Their donuts are so delicious. It makes Krispy Kreme donuts taste like air. You know how Krispy Kreme, you have to eat about 10 of them before you can feel it. Because it's almost like they're made out of air. When you bite into them, they dissolve, they just disappear. They disappear for more than one reason, but you know what I'm saying? They don't have real substance to them. Whereas OMG donuts, they do, and they are just as soft, but they just have substance. I see Pandy's Hair Candy and more is in the building. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you. Great to see you. And Pandy, I really enjoyed your live yesterday with the shorts. I believe it was yesterday. I'm getting my days confused. No, it might have been Saturday. But I enjoy your content. You're making money moves with Pandy and Slasher Chick. I don't know if you know Pandy, but you really need to connect with her. All of y'all in here that are content creators, I highly recommend that y'all check each other out. I appreciate all the support from such great people. That's the thing. And Pandy, you would enjoy Slasher Chick, Black Guns and Roses, as well as TW Popcorn. What's popping with you? Also Tasty Creations was with Tara. She's in India. And listen, I'm trying to practice my Hindu when I go into her lives. If you go to any AI platform, you can type in a phrase or anything you might want to say and ask them to translate it. And I've been doing that. And you never know, you might come out with learning a new language for sure. And let's see, Black Guns is saying my dad was on a ventilator for a while. It was virtually impossible to find. Yes, let me tell you, Black Guns and Gardens. I was like, sometimes I would step outside and I would think, what year are we in? And my mother passed in 2010, and this was like 2008, 2909. And I would just stand up looking in the sky. What year is this? Is this 1956? You know, like why is care so challenging? And I remember back then they were talking about healthcare, and Obama was the president, and they were all complaining about the lack of healthcare. Well, my parents were entrepreneurs, but they had great healthcare, plus they had Medicare, not Medicaid. They had Medicare, which was a supplement, and they had more than enough health care to cover anything she needed. But it was just about who was going to do it. The nurses didn't want to do it. Every time I would have to get her catheter changed because she had a catheter, she had a feeding tube, everything. I would have to take her to the emergency room because no one would even come to do that to the house. It was just the craziest thing to me. I see TWP is in the building. What's popping with you? Hope all is well. I hope all is well. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Pandy's here, Candy and more. And I really listen. And Slasher Chick, I'm talking to you in particular because Slasher Chick is my accountability partner in this 90-day going live every day challenge. Oh, I don't know what I would do without her, but her and I both, we aren't so much into the scheduling of our lives every day yet. And all I do know is Pandy, Be Amazing Sylvia, Marlene motivates, and Slasher Chick. I know you rock with Marlene because I see her in your lives too. But you know, Boss Life Online, Team Build with Geo, they do a phenomenal job with scheduling out their lives and adhering to it. You know, and that's the thing. Yeah, I could probably schedule my life, but will I be able to keep it? I don't know because I have so much other things, you know, that happen throughout the day and such. I would, when I have scheduled my lives, I've changed the time, start time, so many, you know, so many times, and that becomes challenging. So you're absolutely welcome, Tasty Creations. You're welcome. Love learning new things, and learning from other people around the world is one great way to be more inclusive, as well as incorporating more diversity to not just yourself but also your channel. If y'all are not connecting with people all over the world, I don't know why not. Why not? You know, this is a great opportunity to expand who we are and our reach. Again, the world is flat. Are you? I can't tell. Listen, Pandy, I can't tell because you are doing great. You are doing great. Wow, Black Guns and Roses. So you understand about the ventilator. That's deep to me. All right. So again, you want to take breaks. So you want to accept that help. When people ask you, do you need anything? Don't be like, no. I would always say, I would think of something like, yes. Can you please this, that, and the other? Like I would always accept help. Also attend a caregiver support group to connect with others in similar situations. When you know, I do sometimes I do speaking engagements. I told you about my ALS caregiver blog. You know, whenever I'm talking to someone who is currently caring for a loved one, I always say make sure you join the association that's aligned with their dis-ease, because there's associations for everything and they have support groups, and those support groups are so important. And if you can take your loved one, I used to take my mother to the ALS Association's support group. We belonged to the DMV chapter, and my family became an ambassador for them. And when you join those groups, and if you can bring your loved one, they can communicate or be in the midst of other people who are going through the same thing, and they don't feel alone. You're with other caregivers and you don't feel alone. And the association will have guest speakers, they'll have resources, best practices, new things that are coming out that you only will get if you go to those meetings. I mean, yeah, now I know with internet being what it is, you can research everything, but it's nothing like being in the presence of others. And so whenever you can, I highly recommend that, you know. Also use respite care services to get temporary relief from caregiving duties. We could have done that, but it wasn't available. like it was available, but not for us. So, you know, that's why accept help from others. And also, you know, the help I would also receive was that two of my father's sisters were nurses. One was retired and the other was still doing nursing. She actually retired, I believe she was like 70 years old. She retired at the start of COVID, but she would send me a lot of medical supplies, you know, to help, because I had to take care of my mother's trachea, of her feeding tube, and so she would send me gauzes and different things like that. Gloves, you know, just different things that she knew I would need. My father's other sister, who was a nurse, and this is another thing, when you are that caregiver, especially if you're not medically trained, typically you'll do stuff that you'll do stuff that you that is not like traditional. It's not even cute, but you do stuff that you can do and the best that you can do. So when my father's sisters would come to visit, I would say, listen, don't don't look at how I'm doing this. Like when I would bathe my mother every night and, you know, just caring for her, I was like, please don't judge the way this looks. They wouldn't even know how to help me because they've never seen anyone do it the way I do it. You know, the way I would change her bed. The whole time I never put a diaper on my mother. I made sure that even though she couldn't walk, we got her where she needed to go to do what she needed to do. I just wanted to give her as much dignity for as long as she had life. But you know, it was just like, listen, don't judge me. Just and they rocked with it. They was like, listen, we're not here. Do what you have to do. And so I appreciated that. But you have to find your own rhythm, you know, and you just got to do how your body can handle it, you know, what your instincts are telling you, and just make it happen, keeping yourself and them safe. And then you want to schedule regular breaks to recharge, even if it's for 15 to 30 minutes a day. One of the things that saved me was I was able to really develop my online coaching business. And it was just the weirdest thing because I had mentioned this before. I was doing it via WebEx, but it wasn't the virtual WebEx that we know. It was more of the telephone WebEx, you know, where it was kind of like a conference call, but you can see your screen, you can put chats in the screen, but you just couldn't see the people. And I had clients all over the country, and I was able to do that. I would make sure that my mother was absolutely okay, and I would schedule my sessions. Somehow it always worked out. I don't know if my mother knew I was in just the next room over, and I guess she must have been like, "Look, I'm gonna hold it together until Sherry is off of this call in 45 minutes. I'm just gonna hold it together," and she would, and I was so appreciative. And Tasty Creations, I appreciate you for keeping this chat moving. Thank you so much. I love the hearts. Thank you. And another thing is, again, to, you know, do that to recharge. It may be for you to step outside for a second. It may be for you to just walk into the other room, you know, for a little bit, and maybe do some stretches, some yoga poses, some, you know, anything that can help open things up for you. Also, practice self compassion. Remember, we're talking about self care tips for caregivers. Be kind and patient with yourself. Caregiving is difficult. Let me tell you, I learned patience when I cared for my mother. I learned compassion when I was caring for my mother. I learned unconditional love for real when I was caring for my mother. I loved how to be kind in spite of, how to find humor in things in spite of. I learned so many things. So be kind, give yourself grace. Celebrate small wins and accomplishments. You know, when you learn something new, you may have had a great night, celebrate that. I see Robert Gant is in the building. Hello to you. Thank you for being here. Hope things are going well where you are. I think this might be my first time seeing you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we're talking about self care tips for caregivers. Again, you may not fit the bill as a caregiver, but someone in your circle is. And if they are, please be sure to share this live with them or share the tips that I'm sharing with you with them, because a lot of times when you're in the midst of it, you totally forget yourself and you can't. So, celebrating those small wins and accomplishments, if you're able to get them out of the bed by yourself on that one day, be happy about it. Every morning I would lift my mother's bed up. She had a hospital bed. I would make sure it was in an upright position, and I would give her a hug every morning. But that hug was to help me, center myself so that I can then lift her from that seated position and pivot her onto her wheelchair, into her wheelchair. It was those types of things that was a small but big win for me every morning. Use positive affirmations and avoid negative self-talk. When you are caring for yourself, for someone, that is not the time to be talking about what you can't do. And I know that Slasher Chick was talking about the I can't, just she had a very motivating live this evening. I highly recommend that y'all check it out. You can't talk about what you can't do because you have to. You have no choice. You are it. And so you definitely have to do your best and don't talk negative to yourself. Encourage yourself, share with yourself, like, I can do this. Oh, this is what we're gonna do. I would look at my mother, she would look at me, and I'd be like, we this is what we doing. When my husband and my father was there, I was like, Mom, this is your team. Like, I know we unconventional and everything, got two rough dudes out here that's gonna help me with this, but we this is what we working with, this is what we rocking with, and we got you. So celebrate those and talk positive to yourself, and pursue your hobbies and activities that you enjoy whenever possible. This also was a time for me to really be able to be present and focus on the matter at hand. So, whenever I had an opportunity to go to one of my kids' events, like a sporting event or whatever, I played full out. That's when I really realized you can't control what other people say, do, or think, nor can you control things that are not within your realm of things. Like, if you're not there, there's nothing you can do. You could just pray for the best, leave everything in the best condition, shape, you know, whoever is going to come in for that moment, make sure they are well equipped, they have your phone number. But when you go out and you're in another situation, enjoy that situation. Don't let your mind wander back to where you just left. Don't let your mind wander forward to where you have to go afterwards. Enjoy that moment. And I'm trying to tell you, when you learn that skill of enjoying the moment, life is so beautiful. And you will find that you have less stress and that you really can enjoy the fruits of life because you are there, you're right in it. And I would yell, scream, dance, laugh, just have a good time at whatever event I was at, whatever game I was attending, whatever I was doing. And I would never let my mind wander and wonder what is my mother doing? I hope they're taking good care of her. Those hopes weren't hopes because they were prayers before I left that they would take care of her. I would always pray in the affirmative, not like, God, I hope that this works out. I hope it'll. No, God, thank you for bringing this person into my life at this moment so that I can attend this event. God, thank you for letting them give my mother the care that she needs while I am not there. Thank you. Now, God, I hope that no, nope. It's all about being thankful. And so then you want to also seek support. Yes, you want to receive it, but when you need it, don't hesitate to ask family and friends for specific help. Just like I said, two of my father's sisters, one was a former nurse and one was a current nurse at that time. And I would, if I needed some help, if I needed some advice, I would call them up. If even the hospitals around the way where that not worth a quarter, but I would still ask them when needed. Also look into workplace benefits. So if you are working, because there's a lot of caregivers now, especially since COVID, that are finding themselves in that sandwich generation. They are, their parents or their siblings have dwindled down, and they're like, oh shoot, but I have to go back to work, and you now need my support too. Especially if it's your parent, a lot of times there's some elder care things that your current insurance from work may cover. So look into that. Go to benefits, read over your benefits, and see what's available for elder care. They have the care that some insurances have care for the young children. They have these benefits for if your child is in daycare and things of that nature. But they also have some things for your parents. And also consider joining a caregiver support group. And I talked about the associations that are aligned with whatever the dis-ease that your loved one has, but there's also associations for caregivers, and that's like being part of an association for your profession, and you belong to a group, but everyone works in different industries, but they all have a perspective, and you can glean some nuggets from each of their experiences. And that's how that is with a caregiver support group. They may be caring for someone with a different illness, but the methods that they are using, the grants that they may have received, the different things that are available, they can share that, and it might cross over into what you can use as well. All right. And so if you are feeling like, I'm at my wit's end, I don't know what to do, seek out counseling. Therapy is definitely a thing. Seek out someone that can help you manage yourself through this process, because you're going to need some support. Sometimes you may find that you don't have that support. If you don't have a significant other, if you don't have children or family, you may have been an only child, your parent may have been an only child, you have no first cousins, no aunts and uncles, whatever the case may be, there's always therapy, but those associations also work well. And so just consistent self-care is going to be crucial for you to avoid burnout and continue providing quality care. Make your well being a priority too. Compassion burnout is real. I used to always do a series on compassion burnout, and if I was thinking, I would have titled this that, compassion burnout and how to avoid it. And don't overthink that person so much until you lose yourself. And I know that you've all heard this a million times, because I've been saying this, not just me, but other people say it, but I know personally I've been saying this since the early 2000s, and that is that saying that when we're on an airplane, and the flight attendants, they will talk to you about the emergency process, and how in case of an emergency you need to put on your oxygen mask first and then help those around you. But in real life, outside of the plane, we put other people's face masks on first. Our children, our company, our jobs, our loved ones, and then we scramble trying to get our face mask on. Sometimes we're able to get our face mask on properly, but most times it's not. It's crooked. There's other air seeping out. It's not giving us the oxygen that we need to really do our best. If you're not at your best, how are you going to do your best? And if you're not doing your best, how are you going to do your best for others? And that's what caregiving is about. It's about caring for those you love, but most importantly, caring for yourself. And I see Keith Jenkins is in the building. Salute to you. How are you doing this evening? Hope things are going well for you. Yes, and the VA will also offer many long and short term care benefits that go unused by many service members and dependents. Let me tell you, the military, they need to really talk about their benefits before they talk about any type of service, because their benefits are by far superior than most things. With the GI Bill that they have in place, veterans can use that. Things that can also be used by their spouses, by their children and loved ones. Just, it's a lot of support if they would utilize them. And Black Guns and Gardens, thank you for bringing that up about those different benefits that they have for people that are, in different stages of health, let's call it. I appreciate that. I see Tasty Creations is still putting those hearts in. I thank you so much for keeping the chat moving. But y'all, I just wanted to come on here and share these self-care tips for caregivers. Again, I've been speaking to a lot of people that had to put certain things of their life on pause. I call it stopping your world, because when I cared for my mom, my whole family, we had to stop our world, my husband and my children and myself. And it can be challenging, especially if you're doing it alone. So just know, if you are, whether you have a tribe with you or if you're by yourself, the thing is, you still have to care for yourself. You can't rely on someone else to care for you. You have to do it. So again, it would be doing those exercises when you can, taking small walks, getting rest, drinking plenty of fluids, eating a balanced and nutritious meal, taking care of yourself from the inside out is what it's going to take. Well, listen, it's been my pleasure. That's all I have for you today. And again, stay safe and take care of yourself, because self care matters. Thank you all for being here tonight. For those of you that are tuned in the replay, thank you. And leave me a message and let me know, what was your thoughts on the tips for caregivers? And are you a caregiver? And if so, God bless you for sure. Thank you.